What Once Was Mine, Chapter 54, Rapunzel. From there on out, the battle was short, but extremely intense. Once Bathory was defeated, the Friends' main task was to prevent the Snuggly Ducklings from turning on everyone else. It was hard to get them to calm down once they began fighting. On the bright side, however, no one had any issue when they ran through the castle afterward, looting and pillaging more than they ever dreamed. The quiet one with the white face paint made the mistake of entering Bathory's private workshop. He emerged looking even paler than before. Rapunzel made her way through the slowly recovering battlefield, feeling for the first time in days like she could take a breath and not be in danger. Gina was tending to Flynn with the medicines from her saddlebag. Magda was standing quietly by, smiling a little to herself as if she was in a dream and couldn't quite believe it was all real. Some of the not the worst lords and men were going methodically through the castle, releasing all the prisoners and liberating the servants. The footman's body was discovered with a paring knife stuck in his back. Countess Bathory was quickly captured and held at unflinching sword point, still sneering. Gothel was nowhere to be found. Hook Hand wandered through the mess, enjoying clubbing the occasional Bathory soldier who made the poor decision to try to rise from the ground. He did the same thing to the soldiers who, at their lord's request, had cried to grab Rapunzel. "Cease that at once, scoundrel," the Baron of Samhet said. "Your help in defeating that vile woman will be rewarded adequately. But now the auction can proceed as planned." "Anyone wants the girl can come through me first," Hookman said. Big Nose came and stood behind him, one hand at his sword, the other hand at a sack of jewelry he had found. "Not that I don't appreciate this," Rapunzel said, "but why are you helping me?" Hookman looked a little hurt. "Like I said, you were just an innocent girl trying to get our help back at the Duckling. If we'd actually help you, none of this would have happened. Holding up a carriage and stealing jewels ain't the same thing as buying and selling a person like a thing, or a girl into a marriage she don't want. Plus, Ransom's got rules," another pub thug said thoughtfully. "And Bathory destroyed the Snuggly Duckling," the man with the large horn said. "No one touches the Snuggly Duckling. No one." "No one ever will again, that's for sure," Hook Hand said, running his fingers along the side of his sword. "Yeah, and I'm sure sucking up to a future queen probably doesn't hurt either," Flynn muttered under where he lay. "Speaking of, you ever find your dashing captain? The only reason we got here at all is because he let me go." "Old Tresberg's over there dying," Big Nose said, pointing. "Can't say I feel strongly about it, but he was a man of integrity, for all that'll get you." Rapunzel ran over to the large man, lying untended among the dead. He was as pale as if he had already gone. "Captain, sir?" she pleaded, kneeling beside him. "My lady," he said, his eyes fluttering open. "I'm so sorry for everything." "Shh, come on." Rapunzel looked around desperately. Gina stood there with the poultices and serums, but shook her head sadly, pointing. No medicine in the world could heal the giant wound on his side, cut so deep they could see organs pulsing within. He lay in a dark pool of his own blood. "Can't you magic him or something?" Gina asked. Rapunzel shook her head. "I can't heal until the full moon. It's all weird, changey magic right now." "Okay, can't you change him then? Into something? Not dying?" "I can't. I don't know what to do. I can't really control it. Right now it just seems to change the size of things." Tresberg let out the faintest whisper of a groan. His body seemed to relax and stiffen at the same time. Despite her unfamiliarity with death, Rapunzel knew she was out of time. She gritted her teeth and chanted, "Boys and girls come out to play. The moon doth shine as bright as day." She wrapped her hair around the captain as best she could. She closed her eyes and felt for the magic. There was little to draw on. Whatever had happened with the tower had exhausted her, or the magic, or something. It took all of Rapunzel's willpower just to stay focused, much less bend the magic into doing something useful, like not just making the man smaller, as with the bowl in the tower, or larger, which she felt was also a possibility. Think of Pascal. Think of his change. It wasn't so long ago. Mold the form in flesh. The moon's phase wasn't that different now, really, was it? Was it? Had Pascal wanted to transform? Did his own wishes somehow inform the magic? What would Tresberg want? She tried. She really tried. Finally, she slumped, unable to do any more. Wondrous was the last thing Captain Tresberg ever said. When Rapunzel wearily opened her eyes, there was a magnificent white horse where the captain had been. There was dried blood on its pure white flanks, what looked like an old healed wound on its belly, and an ecstatic look in his eye. It rose to its feet, trumpeting out a whinny of triumph, kicking its front legs and tossing its mane back and forth. "Oh," Rapunzel said, dismayed. I didn't. I'm sorry." But Justin Maximus Tresberg, captain of the royal guard, and now shining white stallion, gently nuzzled her cheek. He was happy. "I'm glad you're all right," Rapunzel said, hugging him. "I'm sorry we never got to talk." The stallion rolled his eyes and tossed his head. "What's the use of talk?" he seemed to say. Then he lowered himself on his front legs and encouraged her to get on. Feeling strange, Rapunzel marveled at how easily she waved everyone from horseback and spoke with them. The villains and thugs who freed her, the servants and prisoners who were also freed, the lords and their men who reluctantly gave up trying to own a girl whose magic they saw in action. She was cold but polite to these, and made a mental note of their names for future diplomacy. She led a slow and triumphant parade of everyone back to the kingdom on their magical white horse, accompanied by cheers, singing, and general merriment. Flynn had to ride behind Gina again. Apparently Maximus's softening of heart didn't go far enough to let the thief ride on his back.